Why is Ukraine so hard to invade? At first glance, it looks simple. No giant mountain ranges, no thick jungles, just wide open land. But that's exactly where the problem begins, because the real answer is written on the map, in the mud that swallows tanks and the rivers that cut the country in half. The flat farmland that hides nothing. This is a war where the ground itself fights back. When people think about war, they usually focus on weapons, missiles, drones, tanks and air power. But here's the thing most people miss. Geography often decides how a war moves, where it stops and who struggles. And in Ukraine, geography is not just a background detail. It is one of the main reasons this war has been so slow, so difficult and so unpredictable. To really understand what's happening, you have to look at the land, not just the cities or the front lines, but the soil, the rivers and the seasons. So let's break it down. A flat country that exposes everything. Ukraine is mostly flat. This kind of land is often called steppe. At first, that sounds like an advantage. Flat land means armies can move fast, tanks can roll forward without climbing mountains, vehicles don't have to deal with steep terrain. But in modern war, flat land creates a different problem. There is nowhere to hide, no hills to block vision, no forests thick enough to cover large movements. Today, drones and satellites watch almost everything. The moment a column of vehicles starts moving, it can be spotted. And once you are seen, you can be targeted. This changes how armies behave. They move slower, they spread out more, they avoid taking big risks. So even though the land looks easy to cross, it actually makes every move more dangerous. The mud that stops armies. Now we come to one of the most famous features of this region. The mud season, often called Rasputitsa. This happens twice a year. In spring, when snow melts, and in autumn, when heavy rain soaks the ground. The soil turns into thick, sticky mud. Not just a little slippery, but deep, heavy mud that can trap vehicles. Tanks get stuck, trucks can't move, even soldiers on foot struggle. There have been many moments where vehicles tried to go off-road and ended up completely stuck. And once a vehicle is stuck, it becomes an easy target. So armies face a tough choice. Stay on the roads where movement is possible but predictable, or leave the roads and risk getting trapped in mud. Neither option is safe. This is one of the biggest reasons why advances slow down. Even a powerful army cannot move fast if the ground itself is holding it back. The Dnieper River, a natural wall. One of the most important features in Ukraine is the Dnieper River. This river runs through the country and divides it into two sides. On a map, it may look like just a blue line, but in reality, it acts like a massive barrier. Crossing a river during war is one of the hardest tasks. Bridges can be destroyed. Pontoon bridges take time to build, and while crossing, troops are exposed. That means they can be attacked easily from the other side. Because of this, many battles slow down near the river. Front lines often stabilize because neither side can cross safely. Holding one side of the river is already a strong position. Trying to push across it is a huge risk. So, the river does not just divide land, it shapes the entire battlefield. Farmland that offers no cover. Ukraine is known for its rich farmland. In fact, it has some of the best soil in the world. This is why it is often called the breadbasket of Europe. But in war, farmland creates problems. Large open fields mean very little cover. There are few places to hide tanks or troops. If a unit moves across a field, it can be seen from far away. And once again, modern drones make this even harder. Even when crops grow tall, they don't fully solve the problem. They may hide small groups, but large vehicles are still visible. And the soil itself can be soft. Heavy equipment can sink or slow down. So, what looks like peaceful farmland turns into a risky battlefield. Roads become lifelines. In this kind of terrain, roads become extremely important. They are not just for travel, and they are lifelines. Everything depends on them. Fuel, ammunition, food, medical supplies. All of it moves along roads. But here is the problem. If everyone has to use the same roads, those roads become easy targets. Enemy forces can watch them, attack them, and cut off supplies. And if supplies stop, even the strongest army weakens quickly. This is why many operations slow down or fail. Not because soldiers are not capable, but because supplies cannot keep up. In this war, control of roads often matters more than speed. Seasons change the war. One of the most important things to understand is how much seasons matter. The battlefield in summer is not the same as in winter. In summer, the ground is dry, movement is easier, vehicles can go off-road more safely. In winter, the ground freezes. This can actually help movement. Heavy vehicles can travel across frozen land, but then comes spring and autumn and everything slows down again. Mud returns, roads get crowded, movement becomes risky. So, armies have to plan around the weather. Sometimes they wait and they rush before conditions change. The timing of an operation can depend on the season as much as strategy. Why progress feels so slow? Many people wonder why the war has not moved quickly. On paper, it may seem like large areas should change hands fast. But once you look at the geography, the answer becomes clear. Open land makes movement visible. Mud makes movement slow. Rivers block movement completely. Roads limit where supplies can go. All these factors combine. So, instead of fast advances, you get slow, careful progress. Every kilometer can take time, and moving carries risk. And that is why the front lines often change slowly. Geography versus modern technology. You might think modern technology would remove these problems. After all, armies now have drones, satellites, and precision weapons. But here's the reality. Technology has changed war, but it has not removed geography. In some ways, it has made geography even more important. Because now, open land is easier to watch, roads are easier to target, and exposed positions are more dangerous than ever. So, instead of replacing geography, technology works with it, and in Ukraine, the land still plays a major role. So the next time you hear about the war in Ukraine, don't just think about weapons or numbers. Look at the map. Look at the rivers that block movement. Look at the fields that expose every step. Look at the mud that stops even the strongest machines. Because this is not just a battle between armies. It is also a battle against the land itself. And in many ways, the land is one of the toughest opponents of all. That's why Ukraine is so hard to invade. Not just because of the people or the strategy, but because the ground refuses to make it easy.